I offer my humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Master and Lord Bhagawan Sathya Sai Baba. And again, all my love to all of you. Swami is inside our hearts, so I do pranams to Swami in you. I hope that Swami will perform another miracle now, because I would like to share with you so many experiences, and the time is short. But anyway, I will try my best, and I know he will help me. I was really very skeptic. Always, I had to sit twice or 3 times or 4 times to believe. And I think that's why Swami gave me so many proofs of his divinity. I have shared with you some, and now I will try to. I selected 27 to share today, but I showed them to Narendra, who heard so many of them. I think if one day I'm not here, I will ask him to speak on my behalf, because he knows all of them by heart. You know, from the first day, I was in another spiritual organization. In the Raja Yoga organization, we believed in another spiritual master. Then I heard about Swami, and I had an incredible dream that I shared with you many times already. And I decided to go to India to see him. The first time, he was going on a tour from the south of India, and no one knew when he was exactly going to come. We were in Sundaram waiting for him, and suddenly my heart started to beat very, very intensely. And I said, what happens to me? And at that moment, Swami's car came. And from that day, every day, I knew when he was going to come out for darshan, because my heart started to beat very intensely. I always said that my heart recognized him much earlier than my mind. And as I told you, the first darshan I had with him, he came by my side. I was sitting, there were very few Westerners, so I was sitting on the first row. And it was just at the place where Swami was raising the flag, and all the petals fell on me and the other people that were around. And the first thing I told him was, as I told you the other day, Swami, I want to see you. And then he looked at me, and in my mind I heard, but you are seeing me now. And then I vocally said, but Swami, an interview, and he laughed and left. From that moment on, I started to have experiences with him. Every day, he would sign a photograph or give me Namaskar or sign the book. I thought it was normal. And I didn't realize how fortunate I was. And one miracle after the other. When I came back from India to Argentina, the only thing I desired was to share about his existence. I wanted everybody to know. So I went everywhere to speak about him, to every corner of Argentina. And as I said before, many, many miracles happened. One day, I will skip the order. One day, we are planning to have a meeting in one city in Córdoba, which is 900 kilometers from Buenos Aires. And at that time, no one, very, very few people knew about Swami in Argentina. Very few means 10, 20, 30 in Buenos Aires, perhaps. But we went to that city, and the public meeting was completely full. A big theater. We never went for small places. Always 300, 500 seats or 1,000 seats. And it was completely full. So the lady who organized that, well, this is another story. I will not go, because if not, I will not. This was not in the 27 stories. But anyway, after the talk, and we show a film, and then I went to the stage to answer questions. And I was answering questions. Suddenly one person rose his hand, and he said, may I say something? And I said, do you have a question? He said, no, but I want to share something. I said, please, go ahead. And he said that he was living in another city, 400 kilometers from Córdoba, and he had a fight with his wife the day before. Such a big fight that he decided to leave the house. I went to the bus station, took the first bus he found, and ended in Córdoba. And he was there, he went to a hotel, and he had an ulcer, and he forgot his pills. And I know how painful it is, because I had an ulcer. It's like feeling you have a knife in your back. In the middle of the night, he woke up, and he couldn't even stand up from the bed. He couldn't stand up to call the concierge. In that hotel, there was no concierge anyway. He couldn't go to a pharmacy. So he was in such pain, and in that moment, a person appeared in his room and told him, relax, lay down, and put his hand over his stomach without touching him, and the pain disappeared. And so did that person disappeared. And he never knew who that person was, but in the morning he read in the newspaper a very important ad. There was an advertisement of the public meeting. And what caught his attention was that it said, free of charge. He had nothing to do, so he said, I will go. And he went there and he saw the film, and in the film he saw the person that appeared in his room. That was Bhagawan Sathya Sai Baba. Another story of the first times when all this started in Argentina, one of the Sai devotees from Buenos Aires decided to go to a city close to Cordoba in that province to share with an old brother. They were together 30 years ago in the spiritual path, and he wanted to share with him the advent of Swami. So he went there, and he reached that house and told his friend, listen, I have to tell you that an avatar is here on earth. His name is Sathya Sai Baba, and he started to tell him all about him. And the other person was so interested because they were both in the spiritual path looking for something. And then he showed him a picture of Swami. And when the other person saw the picture, he became very mad. He said, why are you playing these tricks with me? Why, after so many years, I thought you were friends? When he was able to calm him down, what happened? The day before, Bhagawan Sathya Sai Baba went to his house, shared mate with him. Mate is an Argentinian infusion that we have in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay, with a straw. And he was talking with him, sharing mate with him, and then he left. And he thought that it was just another person who went to his house, and the next day he realized that this was Bhagawan Sathya Sai Baba. This is how he made him known all over, not only Latin America, but the whole world. One day, a flight attendant who was traveling to Cuba came and saw me and told me, do you have a photograph of Sai Baba? I'm flying to Cuba. You have, either I will learn a little more English or you will learn Spanish after this talk. So she wanted to give this photograph to a Hatha yoga teacher whom she met in another trip and spoke about Swami. So of course I gave him a photograph of Swami, and she took it there and gave it to this Hatha yoga teacher. A couple of days after he received this picture, Vibhuti started to materialize in that picture. And one of his students had to go to a heart surgery. So he took some of this Vibhuti and gave it to him. The next day, the surgery was scheduled. When they took this boy, a teenager, to the surgery room, they had to check him, and the problem was not there anymore. He was completely cured, no surgery was needed. Because of that, it started to spread this miracle in Cuba, and in one point of time, we had Sai groups all over the island of Cuba. And I spoke about this in front of Swami. Even the secret police that went to the meetings became Sai devotees. This is another story. I want to share all of them, but I was traveling to United States for my work. As Nilayam said, I represent film companies, and there was a week when these companies present their new releases. It's the Toy Fair in New York in the month of February. And they have meetings with a group of their agents to show how their characters are used in the different toys. I had a meeting with Hasbro and Warner Brothers. Both together, Hasbro was showing the toys and how they put Warner Brothers, Superman, all these characters in their products. So this was a very important meeting for me, the most important company I represented. And it was from 8 a.m. till 12. And I had to be there. As I said, not an individual meeting, a group meeting. So I was in the meeting, but at the same day I had another meeting uptown. This meeting was in the 34th and 5th Avenue, for those who know New York, in the south. And the other was 57 and Madison, up. And I had to be in both. I didn't develop my CD of being by location. So 20 minutes the other meeting was from 10 to 12. The first one from 8 to 12. So like 20 minutes before 10, I decided to go to the bathroom. Actually, I decided to go to the other meeting. And I had a briefcase. So I stood up with my briefcase, left, decided to go back to that meeting, but then I said, I will have to come back to this meeting, so why do I need my briefcase? And I went to the first room that I found, and I left my briefcase there. I knew no one will touch it. And I went to the other place, I took the subway. When I reached the other office, that was Marvel Comics, Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, they were showing, they already started the meeting. And there is a standard in the film industry, when they show a new animation, they start 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, the image. This is a standard in the film industry. But that time, it started with the number 23. And in my life, 23, and I think in both of you, is a sign of Swami's presence. When I saw that, I said, Swami, you are here. But then I said, I have to let the people know that I am here also. So I started to raise my hand to make questions, to ask questions. I have a question, then I have a question, because I wanted them to know that I attended the meeting. And after 5, 7 questions, I said, all right, okay, they know. I have to go to the bathroom again. So I went outside, back to the other meeting. And I took the subway. Another miracle. When I entered into the subway, there was one seat available. In New York, in February, forget about it. I saw the seat and I went directly and I sat. When I sat, I stopped seeing reality. I never closed my eyes. You know what they tell you, that in the last moment of your life, you see all your life in images, like a film? That was the experience I saw. And let me tell you what I saw. I saw things that from the spiritual point of view I was not doing right. One image after the other. And then it was as if someone did this, no one snapped his fingers, but I came back to reality and I saw the name of the platform, the name of the station where I had to get off. It was unbelievable, because as soon as I sat, I came out of this reality, and then suddenly I came back when the subway was stopping. So I stood up, went to the platform. I was in the platform saying, what happened to me? What was this? And I started to remember all the things that it was shown to me, and some were not easy to change. So I started to walk back to the building, to the Hasbro building, and going back to the building, I started to make a bargain with Swami. I said, okay, Swami, if it was you that showed me this and you want me to change, I said, you have to give me a proof that it was you. And I remember the number 23 that I saw so unusually there. So I said to him, okay, if you show me the number 23 again in a special way, I will believe that it was you. And look how silly I was. I said, I will try to change. Not I will change, I will try to change. Anyway, I reached the building, I went up, and before entering the room, I went to pick up my briefcase, and when I took my briefcase, I raised it, and someone had put a paper on the side with Scotch tape with the number 23. This is Bhagawan, Sathya Sai Baba. Now I will share another story for you to be careful. Swami is unbelievable. Once I had an interview with him in Kodaikanal with another lady from Argentina, and there was members of the World Council at that time, Indulal Shah and other people. So Swami was asking us about the organization in Argentina and Latin America, so the other people will hear. And after asking us, then he said to that lady, sing a song. And she sang a bhajan. When she had this, he looked at me and back to her and said, sing another song. He knew that I'm the worst singer in this planet. But anyway, Swami appointed me to be in charge of the cultural events in Prashanti. So I had to receive the proposals, and that time I presented to Goldstein, Narendra, to to be approved, and then if they needed, present it to Swami, and then if it is approved, was approved. One day, we received a proposal for a choir to perform, and it was approved. So I told at that time to Goldstein, we need to have a, platform for the choir. And I said, it's better if they do it before we reach there, because if not, they will not have time. So I told him, why don't you call, they will pay more attention to you. You call the ashram and ask them to prepare it. And then on that day started the joke. What happens if they don't do it properly? And while the choir is performing, they fail. And we said, okay, if they fail, I told Michael, you will dance and I will sing. He was fat at that time, I'm the worst singer. And I said, if you dance and I sing, Swami will be really entertaining. He will be happy watching both of us. From that day, every time we exchanged any communication, we said, be ready to sing, be ready to dance. All the time. And this was like a, I don't know the English word, but anyway, in every communication. The day when we went to the ashram, and the day of the performance reached, the performance was going to happen in the Purna Chandra Hall. Swami gave darshan in the Sai Kulwant Hall, and Dr. Goldstein and me were waiting for him inside the door where he enters the Purna Chandra. Each one on one side waiting for him. Swami came inside, looked at us and said, are you going to sing? Are you going to dance? So be careful with your emails, with your WhatsApps. He watches, he knows everything. Wait. The first trip, you know that already, but anyway, I will share it again because it's very, very important. As you know, on my first trip to India, all what I wanted was an interview with Swami. I didn't know very much about him, but with all my heart, I wanted an interview. I was, at that time, the vice president of a Raja Yoga organization in Argentina that I mentioned before. So he gave me that dream that was an incredible experience where he proved me that he was God, the Almighty God of the universe. And one night, I was in the room, and after receiving so much love from Swami, Padnamaskar, letter, vibhuti, almost every day I was in the highest heaven that you can imagine. So I decided I cannot be any more vice president of the other Raja Yoga organization. I found God. I have to surrender to Him. What I'm doing there? In a piece of paper in my room, I wrote my resignation to the position I had because I had found God. And I wanted to surrender to Him. And I went to darshan the next morning. And Swami, instead of his usual, at that time he used to go first to ladies, then to gents, he came out from his room and came directly to where I was seated and stood in front of me and said, yes, I will see you. I said yes to him the night before. He came directly and said, yes, I will see you. And he said, in the afternoon, I will see you. My God, my first interview with God. When darshan was over, I decided to go in front of the interview room and sit there to wait for the afternoon. And a Seva stopped me and said, no. You have to come back in the afternoon and sit, and if Swami wants, he will call you. And I always say that person didn't like my face. He was spoiling my first interview with Swami. I thought Swami will not remember, he will not find me even if he remembers. I was like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, completely, how is the word? Despondent. Thinking, well, he will not remember, he will not find me. I went to darshan, and at that time I got the third row that at that time was not being in the front row, really thinking that the chance was over. Swami came out from the interview room, and from the veranda, without looking for me, he just raised his head and shouted, you! And I was like this, and I went to him and said, yes, Swami, yes, Swami. He said the most beautiful word, go. And, he didn't have to look where I was seated. Anyway, I asked him if the other Argentinians could join. He said yes. He called us some other people who were in the interview room after he gave darshan. And he was talking with everybody, and suddenly he approached me And he told me all what I was thinking since the morning, that he was not going to remember, he was not going to find me, everything. And then he approached even closer to my ear and he said, Swami will never disappoint his devotees. And this, brothers and sisters, we have to remember this, because he will never disappoint us. It's up to us not to disappoint him, to live up to his teachings, to put them into practice. This is what we have to do. Another experience. This is a miracle that I'm able to read this. Oh. Another time, the General Deputy Secretary, no, I have it there. The Deputy Secretary General of the Food and Administration of the United Nations is a Sai devotee. And he was in a tour from some countries, and always, of course, being who he is, he was expected and taken to the hotel. He reached that airport and no one was there. And he didn't carry any money with him. Because as he is who he is, he didn't carry money. He was standing at the airport saying, what am I going to do now? I have no money, I have no one to call. And then he said, oh, Swami. I said, Swami, please help me. When he said that, from the air, floating a $20 bill came, and on his suitcase. This is Swami. Luckily, another person appeared and he keeps this $20 with him. Now I'm... Each time I'm able to read less and less. We had a public meeting in Asunción, Paraguay. And one lady was the owner of a shopping mall, and she offered the auditorium of the shopping mall with a capacity for 600 people. Remember, this happened at the beginning of the Sai organization. Not far ago, we started the first meeting that I went there with one lady I referred the other day. And let me tell you, in that meeting, many people came. No one knew anything about Swami. I spoke about Swami. We showed a film. And then the lady had the idea of singing bhajans. And she started to sing bhajans in Indian languages. The silence was deafening, you know. Who can repeat an Indian bhajan in Paraguay, Asunción? But suddenly one of the people there started to sing in Guarani Christian songs. And the whole people started to join, and the happiness and the excitement was, for me, was one of the best bhajans I've ever been. This is what a devotional song is, in their culture, what they really feel, the way they can sing to God. Well, sometime later, a couple of years later, we had this public meeting. That lady offered the auditorium. We always advertise. You cannot have a public meeting without an intense advertisement. Forget about that. In every other block of Asunción, there was a poster with Swami's image, Swami's photograph, the address of the meeting, inviting the people to the meeting. In every other city of the capital of Paraguay. Then I went to all the TV stations, all the radio programs and newspapers. They made an interview. They published, the day of the meeting, they published an article in the newspapers, the most important newspaper of Asunción. So I can tell you, thousands or more than 1 million people saw the image of Swami or read about his name or heard his name. This is what is important. These are spiritual seeds that go into their minds and souls, and one day when Swami decides will sprout. This is the highest service. It doesn't matter how many people come. In Córdoba, just to tell you again, and I will come back to Paraguay, traveling from one place to the other. Once I went to a public meeting, very few people came. But one of those people became a Sai devotee, became the president of the Sai organization of Argentina. And he started to go everywhere to spread Swami's message. So even if 2 people come, you don't know if one of them is Vivekananda. Just It's the intensity of the public meetings, the continuity, and also with the advertisement, the services, doesn't matter how many people come, doesn't matter how many people go to the Sai Center after that. We are spreading the message, we are spreading the form of Swami is divine. When a person sees the form of Swami, it's a divine experience when they read his name. Let's go back to Asunción, Paraguay. We had this public meeting, and suddenly it started to rain. And when it rains in Paraguay, it's like the monsoon in India. It's like the heaven falling, no one goes out. And rain the whole day. And we thought, okay, the public meeting is over because with this rain, no one will come. Anyway, we were prepared. I think 1 hour before the public meeting was supposed to start, suddenly the rain stopped, the sky cleared. And the hall was full, more than 600 people. Not only that, there was a custom in Paraguay that they decided to give a piece of bread and a flower to each person that came. You know, like a token of appreciation. When we had no more bread, no more flowers, no one else came. This is Swami. He prepared everything. One time, going to India for Mahashivaratri, I decided to make a vow of silence. You know, Mahashivaratri is a very special time, and some people fast. You decide what to do. I decided to fast my mouth, not to speak. But I was with a group of Argentinians, and it's very difficult to keep your mouth shut with people that are asking questions. So I wrote my answer. So I said, I have to be silent. Another time I was sitting in the sand with everybody, silent, with my vow of silence, and suddenly there was a person sitting by my side, and I looked at him and said, why are you here? And when I said that, I said, I'm crazy. What did I do? Not only I spoke, but only at that time there were few Westerners. You ask an Indian something, he will ask you 10,000 questions. Why are you here? No, I started the conversation, and I was, what did I do? And the person so humbly, so sweetly, he told me, well, I'm here because a few months ago I died. I was in the hospital in the north of India. I had an anaphylactic crisis, and I died. My brother or cousin was in India. Swami called him an interview, and he told him, I don't know if your cousin or your brother died in that hospital, but I decided to bring him back. And he came back to life. And he went to India to express his gratitude to Swami. We know about Walter Cowans, we know about the son of Craxi that was resurrected, but there's so much more experiences, so many more, you know, that Swami is performing miracles everywhere. One day, a doctor, I will tell you 2 stories about Central America, or 3. You let me know when. One doctor, he finished his career, his medical training, and he had to do his residence. And he had to do his residence in a hospital in a very small town, and he had to go there crossing the jungle in Guatemala. So he got a jeep and went to that place. And crossing the jungle, suddenly the jeep stopped working. And no way. And it started to become dark. And he began to start very scared to be alone in the middle of the jungle. So he decided to walk. And he started to walk. And that night came, darkness came. He was just seeing the path. And suddenly he heard a group of natives screaming with machetes. And they were drunk, I don't know, very violent. And he said, they will kill me. And he prayed to God for help. And at that moment, after so many hours, another jeep came and stopped where he was and told him, come in. And he took him directly to the town he had to go, not only to the town, but to the house where he had to go, and told him, you have to go here, right? Okay. And then he said, please, let me give you something. And he said, no, you don't have to give me anything. But what is your name? I'm your midnight friend, he said. Many years later, he saw in a bookstore a book with a picture of his midnight friend who was Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Another time, also from Guatemala, there was a doctor. Swami gave him an interview, and the interview he materialized a ring for him. And when Swami makes a ring, it fits perfectly well. If it doesn't, Swami blow on it, and then it's... But it didn't fit. Swami didn't fit. And Swami said, you know why it doesn't go there? It doesn't fit? Because you want something else. So he blew on the ring, and it became a bracelet, a very thick bracelet. And this doctor started to cry and cry and cry. Then he told us that like 30 years ago, when he finished his career, he wanted to buy the same bracelet that Swami gave to him, but he didn't have enough money because he had to buy something for his daughter. So he bought whatever his daughter needed and sacrificed his bracelet. 30 years later, Swami gave him the bracelet he wanted. Public outreach done by Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Yesterday when I spoke, I was, valedictory day, I was really tired because jet lag, and I wanted to really tell you that everything is a combination of human effort and the divine grace. By preparing this conference, by attending this conference, we provided the human effort, and Swami gave us his divine grace. I feel it all the time, and you will feel it. If you don't feel it now, you will feel it when you go outside. But we are in another dimension in this place. We are now in the Sai dimension. So, how Swami does things? In Argentina, as I told you, we did a lot of public outreach. A lot. One day, Sai Baba was well known, and there was a TV program, the most important TV program of Argentinian television, at prime time, and the host invited us to go to the program to speak about Sai Baba. And the format was that this host, you call it, they will ask you questions, and then there will be a panel of people that will, like the devil advocate. They will try to refute what you have said. So we started to speak about Swami, and by the time they were supposed to speak the panel, the whole hour was gone. And he told us, listen, I'm sorry, we had no time. Do you mind to come next week? And I said, no, we don't mind at all. So 2 hours at the main TV program in Argentina. Millions of people watch it. But the story doesn't end there. When the program finished, I gave to this host a package of vibhuti and told him the properties of vibhuti, how it can heal, protect, give auspiciousness. I told him, keep it, just in case, keep it. He said, of course I will keep it. Next morning, I received a call. That person had the most important radio program in Argentina, the highest rating. He was at that time in charge of it. And they called me and they said, do you mind to have an interview with Fernando Bravo is the name of that person? And I said, no, I don't mind at all. Okay, by phone it was. And for half an hour, he asked me questions about Sai Baba. And he started to ask about the vibhuti. Usually they stop for advertisement. They didn't stop. For half an hour, I was able to speak in that radio program about Swami. When the interview ended, they asked me to remain on the phone. And Fernando told me, you know why I call you? And I said, no. He said, because I took the vibhuti you gave me, and my aunt was in the intensive care unit in the hospital, and everybody was expecting her to die, so I went there and gave vibhuti, and she recovered. And that's why I was witness of the power of vibhuti, and that's why I wanted to ask you more. This is Swami, how he arranges everything. We just have to put ourselves, to put our willingness to spread his message. Then he will do, doesn't matter if it rains, there's no problem with Swami. I cannot read anything. ¿Me traes el...? Excuse me. ¿Qué debería hacer? Ah, I didn't write it down, so let me tell you. But anyway, bring me that. There is my glasses inside. You know, in the Sai Center of Argentina, we do service as you do in all the centers. And one of the centers was to help the children that live on the streets, you know, the homeless children. Gracias. And we used to bring them to the Sai Center, let them take a shower, wash their clothes, and also give them some EHV, some human values lessons. And they accept the lessons because they receive food, wash their clothes. Anyway, they came back by themselves to the Sai Center to steal. They know where how do you call it, la casetera para videos. The VHS was, they stole it because they needed money for buy more drugs. When we realized that we were trying to fill a bucket with a lot of holes because they went back to the streets, the older boys will push them to steal, to consume drugs, and we realized that. So we said, we have to take them out of the streets. At that time, in Argentina, a normal person will earn $400, $500, $700 per month. And Argentina is very expensive. So we don't have so much money. But anyway, we were able to raise money to rent a house for them. And the house we rented was dilapidated because we couldn't afford a better house. So the devotees started to paint it, to repair the electricity cables. And also one day, they brought 3 of these children to the house to help also, because the house was going to be for them. And they asked them to go to the garden, remove the earth to put some flowers there. And there was only one lady with these 3 children. And after a while, the 3 children came with a bag. And in the bag, they found the bag inside the earth that they were removing. And they said, first, when we saw what was inside, we decided to run. But they would remember what you taught us about human values. And we said, it's not right. They came back. What was inside the bag? 12 kilograms of pure gold. With these 12 kilograms of pure gold, we bought 2 houses. One for the community service, another for abandoned girls. Girls very young, 2, 3 years old. They came, they were raised by the Sai organization. They went to primary school, higher secondary school, and some to the university. And not only that, one of the 3 boys that found the gold, he had a missing leg. So we bought a leg for him. And he said, well, I owe everything to Sai Baba, house, the leg. And he said, I want to see Swami. And we decided, there was still money. You know, the judge said that the money belonged to us, so we used that. We bought a ticket for him to go with a group of Argentinians to India. And Swami gave an interview to the group. And he said in the interview, you know, I was the one who put the gold there. May I do more or I finish? I will very quick. Very, very quick. You know, once I had to take a decision, a life-changing decision. For me, it was very, very important. I cannot share with you what, but it was very important. I was sitting in darshan. Swami came with a lot of letters in his hand, and I offered my letter, and he took it and put it in the middle of all these letters, a lot of them, and went inside the interview room. He went inside and came out. I think the only thing he could do was to leave the letters in the box he has, because it was 3 seconds. And he came straight to me and get close to me. I gave the answer I was asking him. So he knows, really, he knows absolutely everything. And the last, shall I stop? Now I will tell you one more. I stop here. Because this is an experience I had that was a lesson for me and I think for all of you. One day, a dear brother, Umberto, he passed away already, he told me, you know, I made a formal contract with Swami, but you know, a legal contract. I hereby, the format of a legal contract, and I offered my life to him. And I gave it to him, and he took it. And I said, what a wonderful idea. I went to my room, I prepared my contract, offering my life to Swami. Next day was Swami's birthday. Not only that, I don't know if the Prime Minister or the President of India came, were not able to be seated in the veranda, and there was like security lines not to approach, and I had my letter. Swami didn't come for Darshan, he went inside, then the whole program, and I was with my letter. And a contract is not fully executed if both parties sign, in that case, if Swami accepts the letter. So I said, when the whole program finished, Swami went inside the interview room with the President, the Vice President, or the Prime Minister, and I said, I have to give my letter to Swami. So I stood up and I went to the veranda, and no one stopped me. There was this line of people, no one stopped me, and I ended in front of the golf cart. And when Swami came out from the interview room, he looked at me, stretched his hand, asked me for the letter, and I gave it to him. Dear brothers and sisters, I invite you to sign your contract with Swami. Offer your life to him. Put it in the altar of your home, and for sure he will accept it. Dear brothers and sisters, I'm so happy of being brought here by Swami. I'm full of gratitude. I learned so many things. This theme of purity, for me also was my personal journey. And I learned many things, and I learned that the individual purity, which I didn't speak the other day, is when we have to fight against the enemies, follow the master, face the devil, fight to the end, finish the game. Which are our enemies? Our bad qualities. The 6 enemies: pride, ego, lust, moha. If you cannot fight all of them, at least choose one of them and say, I will be fighting against this till I will have it not anymore. This is the way we can purify ourselves, because purity is not just a word, it's a work we have to do with ourselves. Let us march together towards the lotus feet. Swami is with us all the time. Let's feel his presence, his love, his infinite compassion. All my love to you. Jai Sai Ram.